Let's analyze verse 2 2. The second verse, the second chapter, the cow. It has been translated mainly in three different ways, which are: this book has no doubt in it, it is a guidance for the God fearing. This is the book or God's book, there is no doubt in it, being from God, it is a guidance for the God fearing. This book, without a doubt, is immense guidance for the God fearing. You'll find other choices of words by different translators, but they'll either substantively fall into one of these three sentence structures or will be mixes and matches of two or more of these. In case you couldn't spot the fundamental difference between the three, the first one says that there is no doubt in the contents of the book, meaning that the contents are clear and unambiguous. The second one attributes the no doubt claim to the book being from God, not an ambiguity of the contents. Yet, both interpret Al Kitab, meaning the book, in which Al or El is the Arabic definite article, to be pointing to some special book, which therefore, in some translations, is explicitly stated to be implying God's book. The third one attributes the no doubt claim to it being a book of immense guidance, not to it being from God, nor to its contents being unambiguous. And this is the sense and structure that I prefer and have adopted in my translation. Let's discuss some of the reasons for this. The use of the definite article L, making it the book and not a book, is the cause of confusion here, but is actually misunderstood or overstated in the least. You see, in Arabic, the normative way to say this book necessitates the noun to be definite after the demonstrative pronoun. And in Arabic, when you say ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ, this book, it only is a phrase, not a complete sentence, generally speaking. Had it been without the definite article, it would have become a complete sentence, meaning this is a book. Why generally speaking? Because in Arabic, like most other languages, the general rules of grammar are slightly different than those employed by experienced linguists in eloquent literature. So it must be conceded that in higher order literature, this phrase can be interpreted as a sentence, meaning this is the book or God's book, as is done at other places in the Quran. Although the default and standard way to do that would be using ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْكِتَابِ. So my case is not that it would be grammatically incorrect, but that herein, in this structure, this meaning is not intended. And there is no need to say that it is, because the simple intended sentence that, if we take out the emphasis, is this book is an immense guidance for the God fearing, which it should be as per the normative rules of grammar. It is a pretty straightforward sentence. Moreover, if we try and interpret it in the other way, it becomes this is the book, it is an immense guidance for the God fearing, which means the last phrase, guidance for the God fearing, also has to be converted into a sentence, considering it is to be implied, and that would make the sentence not only unnecessarily complicated, but also quite unattractive. Then there is the matter of the la raiba fih, meaning no doubt in it. Its various attributions have been discussed earlier. The only thing I want to point out here is that the expression is the regular way in Arabic to say no doubt, undoubtedly, without a doubt, etc. in English. It has been used several times in the Quran and is used both as an adjectival or adverbial phrase and as a clause. It is usually simply brought in, often mid sentence, to emphasize or intensify a claim as we do in English, not to express the unambiguity of the content of something. Hence, if you take the first phrase to mean this book, the emphasis automatically is laid on the one and only claim that the book is a book of immense guidance. There is simply no other claim to emphasize. But if you take the other meaning, that this is the book, no doubt in it, it is guidance for the God fearing, then there are two claims to choose from: the former, that it is God's book, and the latter, that it is guidance. The more likely is the former, but the latter wouldn't also be out of bound. My preferred interpretation, notwithstanding, does not have any option but to apply the emphasis to it being a book of great guidance in a pretty straightforward way. Now let's discuss some minor issues which could render more clarity to those in the audience who wish to learn more about Quranic Arabic. The word dhalika has been translated here as this in almost all translations, yet it basically means that. This is because this and that, when used to point to physical objects in physical space in our everyday conversations, are used to point to the closer object with this and the distant object with that. But that is not their purpose in literature. Just rewind back to my previous sentence. I started with the words, this is because, whereas I could just have easily and correctly started the sentence with the words, that is because. So you see what I mean. Even in English, like many other languages, the use of these demonstrative pronouns in everyday conversations and written word or literature varies. In Arabic, the range of using specific demonstrative pronouns to serve particular purposes is even bigger. Instead of going into all the various purposes a particular choice of either of these pronouns serves, let me just focus on the one purpose employed herein. In literary Arabic, when we wish to point to something whose significance and importance is to be highlighted, we use that instead of this. Sometimes that importance is due to its respect, while at other times the importance may be because of the significance of its threat. Herein, it is obviously the former, because the Quran here is being elevated by declaring it as a book of great guidance. The pronoun is that and not this. But because this usage is not replicative in other languages, such as English, we need to translate it as this. This point has also been highlighted as a grammatical error in the Quran by critics eager to find errors in Islam, by the way. You can see why it is such an infantile critique for even the moderately literate in Arabic. The word hudan, meaning guidance, has been used alone, without any adjective. But then, why have I added immense or great as an adjective here? This is because using indefinite nouns in a certain manner in a sentence in Arabic invokes the tafkhim principle, according to which the indefinite noun has to be fattened and amplified in its meaning. Here it is used in this sense, and we have to supply a suitable adjective on our own. Classical Arabic, you see, relies on a lot of laws of implication like this one. The word al-muttaqeen has been translated as the God-fearing consistently in this video. This was only done because I wanted to highlight the specific substantive differences that have occurred in the interpretation of this verse. Nevertheless, the word has actually been translated by different choice of words by different scholars, ranging from God-fearing to God-conscious to pious to those who wish to save themselves. The basic meaning of the root word implies saving oneself from harm or fearing the wrath of someone. In Quranic context, it always means saving oneself from evil consequences of bad deeds or fearing God's wrath that is to befall the wrongdoers. So, this meaning is encapsulated in short form by such different words as have been adopted by different translators. Yet you may ask, why is the Quran declared as guidance only for the God fearing? Well, it is because, like an object is for sale for any and everybody in a shop, but the purchaser has to have a quality to actually purchase the object, i.e., money. Similarly, the book is full of guidance, but the only ones benefiting from it would have to have the urge to find God, do good, and save themselves from his wrath. It is in this sense of benefit that the book is called Guidance for the God fearing. And finally, why is God starting his address to the Jews of Medina and Muslims with this statement? It is because as you move ahead in the chapter, you find out that the very nature of guidance and righteousness, and who among these two groups is on the rightly guided path, reveals itself to be the heart of the address. So the Jewish scholars and a group of Muslims under their influence were raising all kinds of concerns and passing snide comments at some of the contents of the book that they thought were unsuitable to be contained in a book of guidance, in a book of divine guidance. That is why God is starting the address by reiterating that this indeed is a book of guidance, and you can see the lofty character of those being guided by it, no matter what the detractors say, and that he is going to show through this chapter that such like claims are part of an elaborate scheme of the antagonists to only but discredit this revelation.